I'm excited to welcome you to Live Healthy Naturally, a podcast about how to get healthy and stay healthy naturally. I'm Dr. Samya Sridhar. You can find us on all major podcast hosts, including Google, Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? So let's talk about Chinese medicine. So we have had 2 classes already on our naturopathic medicine course. The first one was facial diagnosis. That was a fantastic class. The second one was, just this past weekend, and it was on chakras and health and an Ayurvedic component to that. Today I want to talk to you about the Chinese meridians and Chinese elements and how they can actually get you healthy and stay healthy. There are 12 Chinese meridians. And these meridians are like rivers, if you will, and they're like energy flow rivers, and they distribute energy, nutrition to all parts of our body. And so these energy meridians, these Chinese meridians, kind of run through all over our body. Whenever people sometimes have diseases on one part of the body, and it seems like, it is not at all related to anything else, and people think that it is just there. It's really not that way, because sometimes our ankles, one part of the ankle is actually your liver meridian. So if there is something that's going on in your ankle, it could really be that it is the liver meridian and could be coming from the liver. And so which means that when we actually focus on treating that and helping the person with that, they actually see some amazing results with their health. And the problem that they had on their ankle that seemed to have nothing to do with anything because surgery didn't help or physical therapy didn't help, now just miraculously disappeared. The spleen meridian, stomach meridian, large intestine meridian, lung meridian, liver meridian, gallbladder meridian, triple burner, pericardium, kidney, bladder, small intestine, and heart. These are the 12 Chinese meridians. And each of these actually are very intertwined as well. They are not really independent of each other, which means that our body always is interconnected. Everything is connected to everything. And if you only understand the language of this connection, you'll be able to make sense of what your body is even trying to tell you. Right now with the COVID, so many people actually have one of the most important signs of it is that, loss of smell and loss of taste. And some people even actually have loss of taste after they've recovered from the COVID-19. And why is this, right? What is the relationship between taste buds and smell from a Chinese meridian perspective? I would, love for you to actually understand this because it's fascinating how our body works. And the more we understand, the better we will do. So the Chinese meridian, there is one that I just said to you, which was a spleen meridian. And the spleen meridian and stomach meridian are connected to each other. Especially the spleen meridian spleen is the largest lymphatic organ in your body. When that is the largest organ in your body, do we really know how to check whether your spleen is working or not? Most people don't. So there is no test for it. So how do people even know whether your spleen is working or not? And when I'm saying that is one of the largest organs, lymphatic organs in your body, that also means that it's also one of the largest immune system organ in your body, and we don't really know how it's functioning. So how can we actually keep our immune system strong and powerful if we don't know how that organ is functioning and there is no test conventionally to show that? In thermography, there is actually regulatory thermography. You can actually check for that as well and see how your immune system is functioning, how your lymphatic system is functioning. And that's one of the other reasons why I love that test so much. And I often recommend it to everybody pretty much, or recommend it to people that really have immune system disorders or autoimmune disorders, because we really need to know how the lymphatic system is working in order for us to treat autoimmune disorders. Because your immune system is really in the lymphatic system, or your lymphatic system is your immune system. So spleen is responsible for all the 5 tastes that we actually feel. Sour, salt, bitter, spicy, sweet. All of these are actually tasted because of the spleen meridian. And if the spleen meridian is not functioning optimally. And in COVID-19, the spleen meridian is affected. Their immune system is usually weaker for them to start first even having the problem. And now what happens is they actually cannot taste something because the spleen meridian stopped working as well. So it has become underactive. The energy flow through that meridian isn't working as well. And so whenever we have patients like that, we start working on the spleen meridian, we start treating that, and the taste comes back, and even voice for that matter comes back. Some people have a hoarseness of voice or loss of voice after the COVID-19 for similar reasons as well, which is usually in the lung meridian. So when we understand Chinese meridians, we can understand how they're all interconnected. And obviously it means we can mitigate the problem as well and not just try to put a band-aid on it. One of the other things that the spleen meridian, the stomach meridian does is allows us to extract nutrients from the earth in the form of food, and it also distributes it all over the body. So if these meridians are not working well, even if we are eating amazing foods, we are not going to really be absorbing all of it properly or getting it distributed properly, which means that our bodies cannot really receive all the nutrients in every single cell. The reason why I actually talk about this, and of course, you can learn more about this, not just the spleen meridian, but all the other meridians as well, and also the elements of the earth, which we have been sharing about on our Facebook posts, like the earth element, the metal element, fire element, water element, wood element, and how it is connected to the Chinese meridians and even your personality for that matter. As we have been sharing, your personalities actually have different elements. You have some elements that are more than the others in your body, and that's what actually makes you you, uniquely you. So when we understand this as well, it will be easier for us to understand what are the different organs that can get affected if you have certain predomination of one element over the other, which means that we can start strengthening those organs. And when we strengthen those organs, the typical ailments that you usually get will go away, because there is a typical predisposition to certain kinds of diseases and you have a certain predominant element as well. So the good news is that the naturopathic medicine course is still open for enrollment. Even though we have 2 modules already done, you can still watch them and you can actually still do the panel discussion there, and you'll also come back with more questions on the next session. So all of that is still open for you, but that is our 3rd session. And Chinese meridians in my practice is something that I often use to understand patients' symptoms, because it's very important to understand the language of the body in order for us to treat it. And the reason why people usually come to a doctor is for that reason, that I don't understand what my body is telling me. Tell me what my body is telling me and also help me treat it, fix it. If we understand only in the anatomical and physiological way, which I used to because I finished my medicine and all we were taught was anatomy and physiology. Not necessarily, I didn't learn Chinese meridians back in college because I did homeopathy. I didn't have any knowledge of even Chinese meridians at that point in time. But people used to often ask me, why do I have a mole here? Or why do I have pain only here? And so on and so forth. And I didn't have answers for those kinds of questions because it didn't make sense. Anatomically, it didn't make sense. Physiologically, it didn't make sense. Pathologically, it didn't make sense. Like their disease did not seem to make any sense with the symptoms that they were having. So most often, doctors would just say, well, just ignore it. It's not a big deal. Unless it becomes really horrible, we don't have to do anything. Or we can obviously have always surgery. That's not necessarily good answer. Most people don't really like that answer. I wouldn't like that answer as a patient myself. I would want the doctor to tell me better than that. And that's how I started searching for more answers, searching for more systems of medicine that could give me more answers. And that's how I actually landed up in the Chinese meridian, Chinese medicine, and Chinese herbs. It was just such a treasure trove, just like Ayurveda is. And it was showing me different kinds of things that we didn't necessarily understand in many other ways, but then it solidifies the concepts of all the other types of medicine as well, because everything is connected. Like homeopathy is so connected to Chinese medicine than you ever think, and Chinese medicine is so connected to Ayurveda than you ever think, and all of the herbs in different systems of medicine are so connected to one another than you ever think. And I never even understood that concept, to be honest with you. But once I actually started understanding more of these concepts and as to what was happening in the body and why the symptoms are appearing. For example, people will tell me that they wake up at 3 a.m. every single night. And they would ask me this question all the time. Why? Or 2 to 3 a.m. they will say. And they'll ask me, why 2 to 3 a.m.? It's almost like, I don't even have to look at the clock. As soon as I woke up, I will know exactly. And if I turn and look at the clock, it'll be exactly that time. Why do I wake up at that time? And I didn't have answers for that. But then 2 to 3 a.m. is actually liver meridian. So once I understood that, and this would happen in women who are menopausal or perimenopausal, I realized that their estrogen, so their liver is actually either hot or cold. And if it is, and it's also a wood element, and if it's cold, what that means is estrogen metabolism isn't taking place properly. So they're having low estrogen. And this is also the reason why they have night sweats and they have hot flashes at that time, because estrogen actually manages all of these things. But when you're going through perimenopausal or menopausal, the estrogen is not necessarily used up properly by the cells, or not enough estrogen is available for the cells to be using up. And then the body produces these kinds of symptoms. Until I came upon the Chinese Meridian, I did not understand this. They just said, when you're menopausal, you can wake up, you can have hot flashes, you can have night sweats. But why? Nobody gave me that answer. Chinese Meridians gave me that answer. And Chinese Meridians can give you a lot of answers as well, because as we go through, why do you have a mole there? You will find the answer for that. And why did a skin tag appear in a certain place? You will find the answer for that. And why do you have pain on your maybe right ankle? You'll find the answer for that. And then you'll be able to truly help yourself, truly help your own body heal, and not only just heal, but also keep it healthy. Like you won't keep getting sick, or when there is something that happens, you'll be able to immediately understand what your body is trying to tell you. And that's how amazing the Chinese Meridians are, and the elements of the earth. I know you have things to do and places to be, and you chose to listen to me. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I'm Dr. Samya Sridharan, and it is an absolute honor to be heard by you. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this episode. Show us some love and share with your friends and family. And be sure to tune into our next episode in 2 weeks. Much love and health. Until then.